All right, we're up to our last part of the train, part number 9, the cow catcher. Let's create a part. I'm going to start drawing the top and the bottom. So when I start my sketch, I'm going to start on this horizontal XZ plane. I'm just going to start on the bottom piece here. I'm going to use the line tool. So I'm going to draw across the bottom. We have to look, that's 1.8, and this one's kind of tough because there's so many drawings with so many different dimensions. So it takes a little bit sometimes to find everything. Zoom it back so we can see it. Then if we go along this side, it is 0.25. That's 90 degrees, that's good. Then this one, we're not quite sure. We're going to dimension this here in a minute. So I'm just going to make the point out here, and we'll use dimensions to get it. I'll do the same over here, so we just need to kind of finish now. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of dimension and get things set so it all fits what it's supposed to. If we use these constraints, the equal constraint, we know this one is 0.25 and this one has to be the same. So if we set them equal, that will do that. We know this to end up in the center. If we make these equal, it will automatically force that into the center. And then the last dimension that we need is from this bottom side up to the point. And if we look along here across there, it is 1 inch. So there is our bottom. So we can finish our sketch. And now we need to make the top, and we're going to loft these two together. Okay, kind of like when we did our our motte for the castle. And so we got to make this top. So first we have to make a plane. We're going to offset it from this bottom plane. There is no real plane there because we didn't do anything, so we have to go into the origin. Remember we did on the XZ planes. We're just going to choose that. And then if we look, this is 0.75 high. So we're going to move that 0.75 up for our new plane. And then we're going to make a new sketch on that plane. Okay, I'm going to turn it around here so I can see better what's going on. And then again, we just have to draw this part. Now he's going to fit in the middle here somewhere. I'm just going to start drawing. He's 1.2. Right, if you look, he's 1.2 across that side. Okay, and then he is again 0.25 up this way. And then again, just kind of guess wherever. It doesn't really matter. And then kind of guess over here, and then connect and finish him up so you have your little baseball thing. And then we do basically the same stuff. We're going to make it equals. We're going to make this side the 0.25 and this side the same. We're going to make these two the same, and so they are equal, and the point ends up right in the middle. On this one, if we look, if we go out from the back to the very front, it's 0.75 now. So we're going to do that last dimension. Make sure I'm clicking the right one. 0.75. And then if you notice when I zoomed in, my lines aren't quite on top of each other. So we need to do my collinear constraint and make sure those two things, if it doesn't see it, we have to go project the back geometry. And now we should be able to do this collinear with those two. And now you can see those line up perfectly, but they're not lined up in the center like they should be. So we're going to do a coincident constraint. I'm going to take the two center points, so that center point with that center point. I know those are lined up, so I think it's all good. We'll find out later. There's a good check later if we mess that up. Now we're going to loft the two together. So we're going to loft together sketch 1 and sketch 2 and say OK. And I'm going to hide the visibility of this plane just because so I can see my part better. All right, and that's where we want. I kind of like it like that, so I'm going to make this the current view as home. Just so every time I hit home, it comes back and looks like this because that's how it's kind of set in my picture here. Now, before we do anything else, we have to shell the bottom. If you notice at this very bottom picture, they've shelled out the middle, and we have a thickness, a wall thickness of 0.1. So I'm going to flip it over to the bottom. I'm going to click shell and click the bottom, and it's just going to cut out the middle section. I want that thickness to be 0.1, which it's set out already, so I'm going to say OK. And now you can see it just shelled it out and made it kind of hollow on the inside and made every wall 0.1 inches. Okay, now I can either start on the front and I can make these two things on the front, or I can go to the back and make the 3 pegs. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm just going to let's go to the back and make the 3 pegs first. So back here, I'm going to make a new sketch. I need to make a circle. Those pegs are, somewhere it tells me, diameter of 0.125 right here. So I'm just going to go 0.125, 0.125, and I'm just kind of drawing them wherever because I'm going to dimension them into place. So I'm going to dimension from this corner to this spot, that right there, because it tells me in one of these things that it is 0.275, I believe, over. Okay, so 0.275 over to the edge. And then it tells me it's 1.25 between the two. So now if I dimension from here to there, it's, what did I say, 1.25. Get that, and then we need to dimension them vertically. So I got to go from here down to here, and that height is 0.125. We got to do the same with this one. We could do a dimension. Let's do a constraint just because we're trying to learn all our stuff. So horizontally, we want those to be in the same spot. So we want this line and this guy to be in the same spot. That brings him down. Okay, and now we got to place this top one. He goes right in the middle. So again, we can try a different constraint. Okay, so we could do vertically. We want this guy to line up with the middle of this guy. And then we go back to dimension. And we want to go from here to here. And that is supposed to be, how far down is he from the top? Somewhere it's going to tell me here. Oh, it's 0.625 from the bottom. So I got to cancel out of this. I should have gone from the bottom. So I got to go delete that. Get out of dimensions. We should have gone from the bottom because that was the dimension they gave me. I didn't look, I just guessed. 0.625. There we go. Now we have our 3 pegs. We can finish our sketch. We're going to extrude all 3. So we click on that guy, that guy. If I can get him selected. That guy. They only stick out. How far do they stick out? Somewhere. It will tell me 0.125, I believe. Yes, right there, 0.125. There's just way too many dimensions. 0.125. Good, and it says that they have a 0.01 chamfer on them. So we're going to go chamfer the edges. Oops, I forgot to hit enter on my extrude. Just do it again, I guess. It happens, right? Now say okay. Now let's go try my chamfer again. That's way too much, so let's go change this. What they want, 0.01 on that one, and that one, and say okay. All right, so I think the back side's pretty good. So let's flip around the front. Now we have to draw. We have to cut these little holes. Don't go all the way through. Click these little indents into this shape. If you try to click here and get new sketch and it won't let you, it means you did something wrong. Your thing's kind of twerked a little bit. So that will tell you if you didn't line up the top and bottom correctly. Mine, I can get a new sketch, so I must have done it okay. Now first I'm going to project the geometry so I don't have to redraw this stuff. I want all 4 edges. So just project geometry and click all 4 edges. See how they turned yellow? And then I'm going to do offset. And I'm going to select this and bring it in. And it tells me that that is 0.1 right there. It's 0.1 for all 4 sides. And there's my offset. So now I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to extrude. This part here I want to cut. And I want to cut, I believe it is 0.5. Yes, 0.05, sorry, 0.05. See, right now it's going all the way through, but we don't want it to. We want it more like that. Now we can do the same for the other side. We could have done both of these at once. But again, I like to show you different ways to do things. So I'm going to show you very quickly how to use the mirror feature. So first we have to have a mirror plane. So I'm going to do one that's midway between 2 planes. So I'm going to pick between this guy and this guy. And there's my mirror plane. And now I'm going to go mirror. I'm going to mirror that feature. I'm going to use this plane. And I'm going to say OK. And now we have that sitting there like we want. And again, I will turn off this work plane with the visibility. And there you have your cow catcher. It's got the shelled out bottom. It's got the 3 pegs that are chamfered on the back. And it's got its 2 indents on the front. And we are pretty much done with our train.